Welcome back to the 2019 Smark Out Moment Awards. We are on part 2. Just got done the technical skills. We're going to move on here to the writing awards. And we've got 8 different categories inside of this for us to break down. And then, of course, like we do with all the rest of them, we got the best and the worst in each one of those categories. So, actually, we don't have a worst in one of them, but it's more good than that when we get to it. But what we got going on here is the way that we normally do here, and again, just a reminder, leave your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on all of your opinions on the best and the worst of these different kind of categories that we've got going on. Let's start off with the best and the worst catchphrase or slogan of the year. Now, this could be a slogan or a catchphrase that is from a particular wrestler, or stable. It doesn't need to be like one particular person. Or it could be something related to WWE in general. Like in the past, one of the ones that I had given it to was the Survivor Series is the one time a year that each brand, Raw and SmackDown, go head-to-head in one-on-one competition or whatever the fuck it was. And I have to kind of echo that statement with my worst catchphrase or slogan of the year is Super Showdown will be as good or exceed WrestleMania. As soon as they started to do that, I mean, the first time they did it, okay. It's just like Michael Cole or whoever was the first one, just saying it. That's fine. But then they said it again, the exact same phrase. And then they said it again, and I was like, oh crap, this is a company directive, that specific line. Charlie Caruso says it. I think like Pat McAfee had said it or something. It was just like, everybody is using this line, and it is the most ridiculous type of company jerking itself off type of stuff. I cannot stand when WWE has this type of thing where it's like, this is the marketing phrase we want to use, and it's not even a good one. Super Showdown will be as good or exceed WrestleMania. That's as basic as you can get. Imagine, you're running an ad for, say, Coca-Cola or Pepsi. They got the Pepsi Challenge. That's a marketing tactic to go, oh, you going to take the Pepsi Challenge? Look at that. We're better than Coke. That's our whole pitch that we got going on. What if Pepsi was just like, Pepsi is as good or slightly better than Coca-Cola brand products? And it's like, we need everybody to come out there. And then we're going to endorse a celebrity to come out to be like, hi, I'm, I don't know, Britney Spears or whatever. I think that Pepsi brand cola products are just as good, if not better, than Coca-Cola brand products. God, I hated that so incredibly much this year. Secondary is probably It's Boss Time, and I'm wondering if Callum picked that one.
Yeah, Callum, I assume, picked It's Boss Time.
I mean, there are two. There's two, and they both come from Michael Cole.
Here comes the big dog.
God, he is such a. I mean, you don't want. I never want to wish ill on anyone, but I just hope he just takes the position backstage soon.
Well,
just do that.
Let's admit it. Michael Cole, I purposely, I genuinely think that Michael Cole is very good at his job, but that is a detractor for that whole thing. He is very good at being the company shill tool type thing as well, and that's what they just decide to prioritize.
I also wanted to add the phrase. I'm pretty sure this is what he refers to. Is it Raw's resident superhero? Is it something like that?
Yeah.
Or
For
WWE's
Ricochet.
resident superhero? Yeah, I've already said in the previous video that I'm just so over this concept of him being a superhero where he has to say that he's a superhero, he has to throw that line in every single interview that he gives, and the commentators have to talk about, oh, he's like Spider-Man or he's like Superman because of all the crazy stuff that he does. It's just, it takes away from him doing all this crazy superhero stuff if you have to constantly say that he's a superhero while doing it.
Ricochet is as good or will succeed many of the MCU characters. So what is your actual pick for the worst then? Out of all,
I'll go with Boss Time because I think that's probably the third year in a row that I've done that. But it's just it's the gift that keeps on taking away from stuff. It's the gift that keeps on shitting in your Christmas, under your Christmas tree or whatever.
I thought that was Randy Orton.
It might be X-Pac. What's your worst catchphrase or slogan, Rob?
Much in the same vein, things that commentators say that really get on my nerves. Specifically, Finn Balor is the extraordinary man who can do extraordinary things. It's like, that's not even a good catchphrase. It's not even like, oh wow, I really care about this guy now. He's extraordinary. Like, but what is even the point of that? It's not good, and whoever came up with that needs to get over it.
Thankfully, though, we can talk about best when it comes to certain things. And as much as I am not as sold on a lot of things that go with Bray Wyatt, my best catchphrase or slogan this year is "Let me in." Because I really think that they had something there, and they didn't quite capitalize on it. But the idea that there's this, like, kind of weird, creepy cult leader, Mr. Rogers type thing, this sounds, I mean, they're doing it, but it's like, if you really start paying attention to it, it is extremely dark to have the idea that there could be, like, children's programming that is brainwashing kids and trying to bring them in to, like, some kind of a cult type thing. And I liked that they were going in that direction. And when they would do more of the idea of him just being all, happy-go-lucky and just like, oh, I want to be your friend or whatever, just let me in. And then, to snap back into it, like, hey, we're going to laugh about this or whatever. That type of stuff is so cool, and I wish that they would do more stuff like that and less of the Fiend gets smacked 100 times and just gets up and, ooh, we've got red lighting, like, It's like that, both different sides of the spectrum. One thing is, like, it's nuanced and it's interesting and it's different and new, and the other thing is as textbook as you could possibly get and not inspired. So let me in. My favorite catchphrase or slogan of the year.
There are a few options, but two for the Undisputed Era in terms of just that is undisputed and Bebe, just because it just has a nice ring to it. I'm a big fan of the 7-Eleven European Television Championship.
Yeah.
What was the most recent one? It was the United States 24/7, 48/7, 7-Eleven European TV Championship. I think that's the most recent version of it.
And obviously Becky Lynch, the man, because the man is just, it's so simple, but it's proven to be so effective for a character. But I'm going to go with tap, nap, or snap. Shayna Baszler's thing that she says in terms of, like, everyone's going to always end up the same. It's either tap, nap, or snap. Just think that just has a nice ring to it at the end of her promos, and it sounds menacing enough that it gets over well.
Pat McAfee ruined it for me when he said crap, nap, or slap or something like that. I'm like, now I can only think about somebody also taking a shit in the middle of the ring. Are they going to tap out? No. Are they going to fall asleep? No. Are they going to just, like, have their leg snapped or arm broken or something? Nah. But they did shit themselves, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to roll the winner on this one.
I think I would have to go with the man, because it's short, sweet, to the point, and very effective. I would also, much like Callum said, that's undisputed. Great, simple catchphrase. And I think Lana should be up here for "You broke the law." Russo broke the law with her overacting. But no, seriously, I think this year with catchphrases, it's the man and undisputed.
Which, by the way, I saw something earlier today that says if you play the Undisputed Era's theme at 1:58, or not 1:58, 11:58, yeah, that you can, right at the time that it's 12 o'clock, do the whole boom. Which,
Boom.
If anybody wants to do it, there you go, 11:58. Let's move over to the best and the worst gimmick of the year. Yeah, I'm an English teacher. These are the types of things that you can factor in with character that isn't necessarily like the pure writing as far as like, well, we wrote you to win this match or something. This is like the mic skills combined with their character traits and, all the other kind of things that go along with that. So I had a couple let's go with best, actually. Let's switch it up a little bit. I had written down a possible option that I'm not going to give it to, but Boombox Brock Lesnar was one of my favorite things at the beginning of this year before I had come across some other options to pick instead. I thought that was really funny. Beat Brock Lesnar, whatever you want to call him. I know that a lot of people are going to pick the Firefly Funhouse, and I have that down as one of my 2 potential options. I'm not too sure if I want to pick that or not. Do you guys have that as your best?
I don't.
No, I don't either.
Okay, so I'll kind of just throw it out there as it might be my pick. I'm not 100% decided yet because I do really love the Mr. Rogers side of things. It's just that The Fiend ruins the rest of it for me. So the other option that I have is R-Truth and Drake Maverick having their whole thing for the 24/7 title. Now, I can understand if somebody would say that's not really a one gimmick type of thing, but to me, that I think that kind of qualifies because they were pretty much a part of the same story. You might be able to justify, well, is that a storyline more, or is that like a title reign more? If that's the case, I'll go Firefly Funhouse. If not, then I'm going to give it to the Maverick and R-Truth thing, because to me, the gimmick of them passing things back and forth and just being obsessed with dressing up as different things to score a quick pin on the other one and all that, like, that was more fun than a lot of other things this year.
Did Maverick ever consummate his marriage?
As far as the last time that they had him on TV, no. That's why he was, I guess, trying to hit up Dana Brooke.
Damn. Best gimmick for me? I'm gonna go away with it. I loved Brock Lesnar this year. He was, anytime he was on TV, it was very effective. Him beating up Dominic was great. Him going through the backstage area looking for Ray was a great segment. Everything he did with the Money in the Bank briefcase, from just jumping in the match because he can, because he's Brock Lesnar, and then all of a sudden finding this personality where it's a boombox to him. Easily my favorite character of the year.
An honourable mention for me for best of the year is Cassius Ohno, the greatest British wrestler who ever lived.
Yeah, I did like that quite a bit. That was good.
I just thought it's just so brilliant. I liked Mysterio as the vengeful dad coming up after Brock Lesnar. I thought that added a bit of dimension to his character this year. But I'm going to go with the Planet's champion, Daniel Bryan.
Good choice.
I just had his own custom belt. It was just it's one of those ones where he's saying stuff that everyone should really be listening to because it is really important, but he's saying it in such an obnoxious way that you just hate him for doing it. And it proved to be a perfect foil for having the feud with Kofi Kingston. So yeah, I'll definitely go with the Planet's champion.
It is weird how that happens sometimes, isn't it? Where he's like, "You guys should not be using fossil fuels," and you're like, "I agree, but fuck off."
Yeah, well, it's similar to when Molly Holly was talking about how the women should be treated as wrestlers, not as sex objects, and they were, "Oh, boo, we want to see tits."
Or CM Punk being like, everybody, it's bad if you abuse prescription medication and everything. We're like, asshole. Although I will say, dating a vegetarian and the whole idea of thankfully, Caroline is not into the whole trying to make you feel bad because you're eating an animal type thing or something like that. But sometimes I'll come across a vegan thing and people will be all like, meat is murder, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to kill the animal, but I fucking want bacon right now or something, sometimes it just has that adverse effect. It's really strange. There's a shirt that I had seen that Maddox had said, "For every animal you don't eat, I'll eat 3." It's just kind of one of those things with the Daniel Bryan thing. Oh, yeah? Well, I shouldn't use gasoline? All right, well, I'm going to get diesel the next time then. That's who he should have feuded with.
Oh, imagine.
With the worst gimmick of the year, I had 3 options written down. One of them being Shorty G.
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
definitely an option.
I don't think we need to even explain why. It's Shorty G. One of them that I came very close to giving the award to which is Lacey Evans walks down the ramp and does nothing more for about 6 months, or however long she did it. It was at least 2 months. That's all they had her do, was she walked down the ramp and then walked back up the ramp. And I'm like, this is not getting the heat that you think that it is. It's just annoying. It's not like, oh, boo, the heel didn't do what I wanted them to do. It's just like, oh my God, why are you wasting my freaking time on this? But then something else happened this year. And this is fundamentally one of the stupidest things that I've seen them do, where I would love to sit down with the writer and say, dude, where were you planning on going with this? Because it got dropped and it went nowhere. And I can't possibly imagine that they thought that this actually could be something, which was an off-screen interviewer asks Shelton Benjamin questions.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's mine too.
Yeah, and he just darts his eyes back and forth and doesn't answer anything. What the hell was that?
He did that for what, 2 weeks? Where, hey, what do you think's gonna happen at Extreme Rules?
And he's just like, looking to the left, looking
To
to
look
the
to
right.
the left, look to the right.
I was going to say that
Nods
was
his
going to be
head.
very good audio content there. Just
Yeah.
like...
Yeah, silence.
I don't fucking get it. Like, this seems like the type of thing that if I were a writer for WWE, that I would pitch jokingly and then go, you know what? Fucking let's see what we can do. If they'll let me do it, I'll do it just to laugh at it myself. This couldn't possibly have been an idea of like, this will get Shelton over, or like, I could see this main eventing WrestleMania. Like, Shelton Benjamin is a damn good pro wrestler, and they don't use him for anything. And then
Well,
they
they have
decide that
the
this is how
Olympic
they want to start
athlete.
using.
They had the Olympic athlete as Shorty G, so I don't think they take real athleticism into effect.
I just really, the interviewers weren't even on screen.
Well, yeah, where the fuck could they have gone with that?
They couldn't have gone anywhere like that. There's no way that translates.
Maybe the entire time he was thinking about knocking on Aleister Black's door.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Oh God, I hated that so much. That's your pick too?
Yeah, that was my pick. Because you look at it, and as a mid-2000s fan, you know, you're like, oh, cool, they're going to do something with Benjamin. And then it's that. And then they don't even go anywhere with it. So, what the fuck? What do you get out of this?
Even if they would have just tweaked it a little bit and had, like, Sarah Schreiber or whoever you wanted, Mike Rome, just insert interviewer, on screen, ask him a question, and Shelton just stares at them, like, menacingly, and then they eventually just walk away because he's not answering the question and they're just sort of intimidated, that could go somewhere. Because then it's like, okay, Shelton Benjamin's just like, I don't want to fucking talk to you. Oh, what a jerk. He's not even answering the questions and stuff. He's serious. He just wants to wrestle and whatever. But the whole, like, I'm scared. I'm getting asked a question. I don't know what to do. Having a panic attack. Was this a joke for Lars Sullivan having the anxiety issues or something? Like, I want to know. I really desperately want to know.
That'd make more sense.
Somebody needs to ask, like, Pritchard, and for him to actually, like, chime in on it or something. I gotta figure out what the hell this was all about. Oh, I hated it so much. Callum, what's your worst gimmick of the year?
Well, I had forgotten about that one, so I didn't end up choosing it, but it's a very good choice. Again, I had loads of options for these because there's just so many bad gimmicks this year. Shorty G is obviously high up there. Mojo Rawley just talking into a mirror is just like did absolutely nothing for her and just wasted like a couple of minutes at a time on a Raw every now and again. Ember Moon playing video games backstage and getting bullied by Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose was not fun. The finest Kona Reeves.
Yeah,
because he is not the finest.
That is an honorable mention.
Forgotten Sons because they're so forgettable that their gimmick doesn't even make any sense. Like, we'll never be forgotten again, and then you just like week after, oh, I forgot you're still employed. One that I feel would have been worse if they had carried it out for as long as they could have. The Viking Experience, rather than the Viking Raiders.
I still don't like that they changed their name to Ivar with Eric.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I
like-
mean, this company has Raymond Rowe is Eric and Eric Rowan.
Yeah, I really didn't like that because they were NXT Tag Champions at the time, right? And they had just defended the belts nights before, and then they come out and they're just like, "Yeah, it's Ivar and Eric, the Viking Experience." What?
but I think the worst for me has to be a gimmick that could not possibly, in any stretch of the imagination, get someone over, and is just there to absolutely humiliate the person who receives the gimmick, and that is the King of the Cucks, Mike Kanellis.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah, just your whole storyline is based around the fact that your wife thinks that you're not a real man and is looking for basically anyone else to impregnate her besides you. Just like,
Including Becky Lynch, who
yeah.
can't do the job, I don't think.
Yeah. I would have loved it if you'd formed like a tag team. If he forms a tag team with Rusev, they could be the Young Cucks instead.
I like it.
Yeah.
Super Cuck Party! Let's go to best and the worst, heel or face turn. Now, for this one, you have the option of picking a heel or face turn for both. So you could pick, for instance, like if your best is a heel turn, then that doesn't mean that you have to pick a best face turn to go along with it. Or you could pick, best face turn and worst heel turn. Like, it's whatever. It's the point being they switched at some point. So the best turn of the year in some fashion. Let's go with the best on this one. Why not? The three that I have written down, I'll pick at the end of this at the very least, are Io Shirai, Finn Balor, and Dakota Kai. I'm leaning more towards Dakota Kai between those. Finn Balor, I didn't see it coming at all, but I feel like they didn't quite follow it up as well as I was hoping that they would have. In Io Shirai, she gets a lot of credit for very quickly going and switching up all of her appearance and her entrance and all that stuff instead of them waiting too long for that. But I feel like one of the negatives that goes along with that is it very clearly should have been Kairi Sane and not Candice LeRae that she did this with. Because suddenly that became, oh my god, she and Candice LeRae are best friends, and they're turning like, that's more of a Kairi Sane thing. Dakota Kai, though, they actually managed to do that the way that they should have. It's on Tegan Nox, who is like on the record as being Dakota Kai's best friend. They're part of Team Kick, all the other kind of things that go along with that. And she has a reason to turn on her and the rest of her team. And she does it at TakeOver when they've got the momentum. So, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going Dakota Kai.
I also went Dakota Kai.
Yeah, I think you go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's just a free-peat because I would go Dakota Kai as well.
It was just done too well and too... Like, you knew it was coming, but even the way they did it, the viciousness that came out of it was so perfect that it added so much to the story. So I have to go to Dakota Kai.
Is this the first either best or worst that we've all agreed on?
Probably.
I think we probably agreed on one earlier. Kofi Kingston, yeah, we all agreed on that one.
Ah, yeah, okay.
To be fair, the three best turns in my mind this year were all heel turns, and they were all women as well. So I went with Dakota Kai as the best one, and then Io Shirai as the next best one, and then Ronda Rousey as the third best one, because I thought that her snapping and just really just going off on the fans showed a lot more vibrancy to her character than we'd seen up to that point.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit too. Just for the sake of it, even though I didn't write anything down and we don't need to. Anybody have any ideas for what a best babyface turn would have been this year?
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan probably would end up being that.
Maybe Kevin Owens on Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
After he turned heel back from being a babyface.
Johnny Gargano, maybe, when he went back to being face.
Oh yeah, that was a good moment.
But I don't know if he ever got, like... Did he officially turn back, or was it just, hey, Ciampa's injured, so...
Well, no, he was going to feud with Ciampa for the title, but then Ciampa did get injured, and so they had to switch up with him and Adam Cole instead.
Right.
So yeah, that would have been good. But I feel like because the fact that Ciampa didn't actually get to compete at that takeover, it lessened the impact of that babyface turn.
Yeah, that's true. It was a weird thing that happened this year with Oni Lorcan, where he was like suddenly heel for 2 weeks on 205 Live and then went babyface again. That was a strange thing. Let's see. We got the worst heel or face turn. I have a couple different options for this one. Rusev turning heel to align with Shinsuke Nakamura and form a tag team. I really hated the Dana Brooke and Natalya thing, where Dana turns on Natalya because Natalya didn't hear her apologizing because she had her earbuds in. It's just a horrible way to be like, we turn you heel and face all the time. Let's do it that way this week. The Viking Raiders, why did they come out as heels? As the Viking Experience, all that stuff.
Yeah, they were heels first, weren't they?
Yep, for a couple weeks. There's the Oni Lorcan thing that I mentioned. They've gone back and forth between Gentleman Jack Gallagher. They don't know what to do with him. I still think that he's better as a babyface, but now I'm starting to think that he'll just leave WWE. The other one that I have, though, and I don't know if I'm going to lean towards this one more so than the Rusev or the Dana Brooke one, but Tony Nese turning babyface to feud with Buddy Murphy. They waited until, I think it was the week before WrestleMania, to actually definitively turn him babyface. Because they went out of their way. I don't remember the exact details, but I remember specifically thinking, why are they putting him up against people that are babyfaces if we know that it's leading towards him against Buddy Murphy? Where the idea should be, these two friends are feuding and Nese is the babyface. Why are you having him like beat down babyfaces so I don't want to root for the guy ahead of time? Now you're just making it to where it's like, all right, well, one guy's an asshole, the other guy's an asshole, but at least one of them's champion, so I'd rather have him as champion. Now Buddy Murphy's almost a babyface in that scenario. They really didn't know what they were doing with that one. So I guess I'm leaning more towards that, but Rusev one, there were so many elements that were bad with the whole Nakamura thing.
Again, multiple options. Kevin Owens turning heel after coming back as a babyface, because the babyface stuff was getting over pretty well with him because people were just so ready to get behind Kevin Owens after so long as a heel. And then they just had to turn him back to feud with Kofi for a little while before just retconning that and turning him babyface immediately afterwards again. Chad Gable turning heel with Bobby, it was Bobby Roode at the time for a little while. Just didn't see the point in that at all. Rusev turning heel was bad. I might go with Elias turning heel at the Royal Rumble, because I feel like they turned him babyface because they kind of had to, because the crowd had just gotten so behind him, and then they felt like, oh yeah, we don't really feel like going forward with him as a babyface. They just turned him heel at the Royal Rumble. I don't think the crowd even kind of realised that it was a heel turn, because they just thought, oh, maybe he's just attacking a legend because, that's fun. And then he just goes back to just being the old Elias, except nowhere near as over as he was before the heel turn happened.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with that.
Yeah, and now he's babyface again. We've seen after just taking a lot of time off. And he just doesn't feel anywhere near as big a deal that he did this time last year.
See, I have an honorable mention for Elias turning face, because I don't like his whole babyface shtick is, hey, you little guy, Drake Maverick, you get away from her. She doesn't need to be around a little guy. I'm gonna spank you because Vince McMahon thinks this is funny. So that's pretty bad to me. I would also say flip-flopping Kevin Owens, turning Shane heel on The Miz, when it just should have clearly been turn The Miz heel, do the match at Mania, and move on. But I think I'm going to stick with this, and I love her to death, but I think it's been long enough that I can say it. Bayley as a heel kind of tarnished Bayley. I mean, I'm sure she's having fun. She's getting to maybe showcase more of her wrestling side. She doesn't do the Bailey to belly anymore. She does that. They used to call it the rose plant. I don't know what she calls it now, but yeah, it's not working for me. So I'm gonna go with Bailey.
I'll tell you what's not working for me when it comes to that haircut.
Yeah, there's. Could we talk about that song real quick since we talked about Elias? Elias went on SmackDown but last week and was just like, yeah, you wanted to have a threesome with me and Sasha, but no, because you look like a dude. Like, what was that? That doesn't fit with WWE's programming at all.
Be a star.
I guess.
Again, reminder everybody, drop your comments below. What do you think are the best and the worst face turns and heel turns and all that throughout the year?
This is their favorite segment. This video is going to get more upvoted than anything else.
That's true. Let's go to the best and the worst title reign of the year. Now, I know that the Champs Giving tournament's very confusing, but the title reigns should be the title reigns, not the performers themselves throughout the entire year. It's just
so you're not allowed to
reigns.
pick Brock Lesnar.
You can pick Brock Lesnar if you think that his title reign is like that. I don't have Brock Lesnar on there, but surprisingly, I don't have Brock Lesnar as my worst either. So, there you go. Here are my options for best, which are Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship, R-Truth for the 24/7 Championship, and Drake Maverick
Which
for
one?
the 24/7 Championship.
Yeah, which has 27?
Yeah, which of the reigns is his favorite? Is your favorite one of his?
The same one as yours.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that was a pretty good one.
I mean, with the R-Truth and Drake Maverick thing, it is pretty much the type of thing where it's one reign stretched over the course of 24 title reigns at the moment for R-Truth, and 6 for Drake Maverick, funny enough. That's the big disparity between the two. I would like to give a shout out to Walter, and I wish that I could pick either Becky or Shayna, because they have been dominant, but I don't think that they've had as good of matches for certain things compared to Kofi Kingston. So if you want to be strict about it and not say that the 24/7 can be, stretched out over that kind of thing, then I go with Kofi Kingston. I still think that his win at WrestleMania translated very well, and by that point he beat Daniel Bryan, then he ended up wrestling a bunch of different other people that he ended up beating, and at the end of his reign, losing the way that he did, that really sucked, but it almost kind of martyred him a little bit, because it wasn't so much, Kofi lost and he's buried. It was WWE fucked Kofi.
Again.
So, that sort of saved him a little bit, which is kind of interesting, oddly enough. So I think gun to my head, I'd probably go Kofi Kingston, but that R-Truth and Drake Maverick thing, I mean, I gotta give credit to that. Who's got the best for you guys?
Kofi's definitely high up there. I haven't gone with Kofi, mainly for the opposite that you suggested, is the fact that I feel like the high point was him winning the title. And then even though he had strong wins and they protected his finisher well for a very long time, his feuds were a bit lackluster. Like feuding with Kevin Owens, who was a reluctant heel, and then Dolph Ziggler, then Randy Orton, which wasn't as good as we'd hoped it was going to be, and Samoa Joe that just came and went. I just don't feel like Kofi had a strong and actual reign in terms of in-ring work. In my opinion, I think it's a slam dunk for Shayna Baszler as the best. I think some of her matches were great. That some of them weren't as good, but I feel like she was protected really well. Her finisher was well protected until, as we're recording now on the Thursday the 19th, as of last night, is now over. But it was a reign that lasted well over 400 days. It's really
415. 415.
415, yeah. And realistically, it should really be longer than that, because Corey Sane kind of only held it for a couple of months. and before that it was Baszler. So Baszler's held it for the better part of 2 years, and has just been a really great, solid foundation for that division, and will be hopefully used just as well when she gets up to the main roster soon.
I also went with Shayna Baszler. If I was going to absolutely insist on being different from either one of you, I would say Becky Lynch, because she's been Raw Women's Champion ever since Mania, and I don't see her losing it until Mania. Even then, I don't even see her losing it. But I also have to agree with Callum. Shayna Baszler was on fire this year. If you talk about just straight up consistency, she delivered all year long. Hell of a championship reign, matches with Bianca Belair. When it seemed like she's going to lose to Bianca, then it seemed like maybe Io can get it, maybe Candice will get it on the first NXT on head-to-head with AEW. And then finally, Rhea Ripley rises like a phoenix, takes the belt from her. It was perfect. It frees her up to maybe challenge Becky. I loved everything about it.
The worst title reigns of the year, though. I got a couple different ones on this one. Actually, I have 4, I guess technically you could constitute. And they're almost all the same types of things. So, on my potential lists, I've got Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura with the United States title. Because at the beginning of the year, remember, Rusev drops the belt to Shinsuke Nakamura, drops it the next night. That was just stupid. Rey Mysterio with the United States title. He won the title, was injured during the match, which had a botched finish, and then relinquished it back to Samoa Joe. What a shit reign that was. But, I mean, I kind of fundamentally have to give it to anybody who had a quick 24/7 title reign, right? Like Marshmello, for instance. Because you win the title and you lose it immediately. That's about as bad as you can get for a championship reign. I'd probably give, out of all of them, the worst would probably be maybe the Marshmello thing, because to me, at this point, we had run through a couple different celebrity options, and that one just doesn't strike me as funny or interesting or just anything to be like happy about. You know, I get that they did the whole thing with the mask being like, you know, Carmella and R-Truth and everybody being a part of that, but then again, you know, if we're talking about those, there were some people that couldn't do anything, and they had to not film them lose the title. You know, Ted DiBiase lost the title inside of a limo where you didn't see it. Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe, they had their whole thing where it's like they're already laying down on the ground, and was it Pat that was laying down on the ground and Briscoe was celebrating, or the vice versa?
Yeah, Briscoe was celebrating. They wouldn't clear Briscoe.
To like, even like
No, they wouldn't clear Patterson because Briscoe took a roll up.
Oh no, yeah. Kelly Needham
yeah.
balls or whatever.
Yeah, Patterson's just laying down like, oh, I can't believe that you beat me for the title. Oh, that was really stupid. I get that they were just like, well, we're limited. What do we do? But, I mean, you know, I even preferred like Rob Stone winning the title, you know?
The NASCAR guy?
No, that was
the Fox, like a Fox host, wasn't he?
Oh, that was fun. Yeah, he was super into it.
Kyle Busch was the NASCAR guy.
Glenn Jacobs.
Kyle Busch!
Glenn Jacobs winning it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor Kane winning, that was great. That's one of my favorite little
I
moments of
still
this.
got it on a football field. Ignoring that the 24/7 title exists, which is something I tend to try to do when it's not R-Truth and Drake Maverick, I would have to say I almost want to give it to just Shinsuke Nakamura as a whole, because his IC and US title runs have been lackluster.
Every single one of them have been.
But I'll say Raw Tag Team Champions, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins, because there was no point. You didn't need to do that. It didn't add to anything. It was just there to be there. And I didn't like it.
I almost wanted to put the United States Championship as a whole on this because it went from Rusev, which was a bad reign, to Shinsuke Nakamura, which was a bad reign, to R-Truth, which was a bad reign, to Samoa Joe, bad reign, Rey Mysterio, bad reign, Samoa Joe, bad reign, Ricochet, bad reign, and then AJ pretty much saved it on his own, really. Like, he had the only good reign this year with the United States Championship, up until, obviously, Mysterio is still currently in his. But yeah, they were all pretty bad. I could have gone with Seth Rollins' second Universal Championship run. Finn Balor is the Intercontinental Champion. Shinsuke Nakamura is the Intercontinental Champion. I didn't enjoy Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder as Raw Tag Team Champions.
The Raw Tag Team titles suffered a lot this year.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. But I'm gonna go because when I'm thinking worst, and obviously Tony's like technically right in the fact that if you've only been a champion for a couple of minutes, that's probably should make you one of the worst ones. But I'm going for the one that's worst for me as a viewer, the one that was most painful for me to suffer through, and that is the Iconics as the women's tag team champions.
Right. I honestly, maybe I blacked out on that because I forgot that was a thing, and they held it for a while.
They almost killed those championships before they'd even had a chance to really begin.
And it's not their fault.
It's kind of their fault.
It's not their fault.
I mean, it's not their fault in terms of the booking. It's their fault in terms of the fact that they can't really wrestle that well.
But they didn't give them... Who'd they give them to wrestle? They didn't do anything with them.
Yeah, that was almost a good thing out of the reign. Like, maybe if they had that entire reign not wrestling, then maybe I would feel a bit better about it. But they actually did wrestle sometimes, and that made it even worse.
I mean, the Brooklyn Bells gave them a tough match. But apparently they wanted to do something with the Bellas, and when they couldn't get the Bellas, they didn't care anymore. And that was the end of the women's tag titles for a while.
You know who didn't have a really particularly good year this year with titles?
Who's that?
Vacant.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the list right now. Vacant only won the SmackDown tag team titles, the NXT Championship. That's a pretty big one. I guess technically speaking, the NXT UK Tag Team Champions, because we hadn't had one at the beginning of the year, so it's either not applicable or, whatever. The NXT Tag Team titles. The Women's Tag Team titles didn't happen until there, and the 24/7 title. So Vacant has had much better years.
Well, he spent most of his time in AEW this year.
And New Japan as well. He's a New Japan US champion as well this year.
Yeah, so Vacant was busy in other promotions, but I'm sure he'll come back.
I guess you could say that he was gone for a bit. Stupid as hell.
I mean, you could say that, but everyone would hate you for saying it. So
yeah, I don't blame them.
Keep it to yourself, really.
I don't blame them for hating me for it. Worst title reign of the year, Tony Mago, for some reason. So we got our best and our worst, right? We're all squared up on that one.
Yeah.
Let's move over to Cameo appearance. This is when somebody pops up just for, a quick moment here and there. It's not that they're a part of the main roster anymore or anything. So, I mean, there is a buttload of people on here. I don't even have everybody, I'm sure, written down. Like, some of them, of course, I even wrote down as just like everybody who showed up here. But we've got everybody from Tony Schimmel on the January 22nd episode of SmackDown, to people that were at the Hall of Fame, to like Razor Ramon and Kevin Nash at WrestleMania. You've got the Raw reunion cameos, which that took up a bulk of this list, because that was everybody from Eric Bischoff and Kurt Angle and the Hurricane and Alundra Blaze and all the, the 24/7 championship type of stuff that we got into with that. We got Trish Stratus popping up for her quick little bit here and there in her match at SummerSlam. That different kind of stuff, all the way up until the most recent one that I have written down, and I might be missing something, I don't know 100% for sure, is The Rock from October 4th. I don't think we've had anybody since then, right?
If we have, they haven't been memorable.
Oh, wait, we had Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan with Crown Jewel.
But that was after. Wasn't?
Nah, Crown Jewel happened after the SmackDown debut.
Ah, okay.
So I had a couple different ones as some of my favorites of the year. One of them being the Tony Chimmel one. If for anybody who doesn't remember, I had written down what had happened at the time. He was a part of a New Day segment. The New Day were talking about how everybody always asks them if they're going to eliminate each other from the Royal Rumble. Are you going to turn on each other? That kind of thing. And I forget who exactly what it was, but somebody was like, everybody keeps asking us this. And who's next? Tony Chimmel? And then he popped up and he said, Big E goes, "Do you see Edge here?"
Yeah.
I was like, I thought that was fucking great. Just a good lampshading of the idea that Chimmel's there all the time. He's part of the ring crew stuff. But the fact that they never really put him on screen anymore unless Edge is there, so he could go, the Rated R Superstar. I love how they just turn into the whole skid with the voice cracking thing. I had liked Jeff Jarrett at the Royal Rumble and with Road Dogg on Raw. I liked, big fan of D-Generation X at the Hall of Fame. That's one of my potential picks. And the two other ones that I had that, again, stop me if it's your pick. Mayor Glenn Jacobs wins the 24/7 championship. And The Rock from SmackDown.
Yeah, I don't have either of those. They're both good. They're both a lot of fun. I had some of the honorable mentions I have is Hulk Hogan returns to pay tribute to Mean Gene Okerlund. Just thought that was a very passionate speech that he gives because he doesn't do it all in character, so it did feel quite real. DX at the Hall of Fame.
Very funny.
So
it was a very funny segment. John Cena at WrestleMania bringing back the Word Life gimmick. It's just a harmless bit of fun with LOS. And Stone Cold Steve Austin at Raw Reunion. He was the only good real cameo appearance from the Raw Reunion, so I thought I'd at least give a bit of a mention there. But the best for me is Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame. Not because of the reason that you might think that it is, but because that happened and he continued with his speech because he is a fucking man. And he took that all, had to suffer such a indignity and potential threat to his life, depending on what this guy was planning to do. Yet manages to regain his composure and just get on with it because he was inducting himself. He was talking about himself and Jim Neidhart. So really good on him, and I think he deserved it. This award. At least. He didn't deserve that. He definitely didn't deserve that. But he deserves he deserves some recognition for taking it.
You get what you fucking deserve.
I give that Spirit 4 out of 10.
So the scariest thing about that one was that kid was just like, I just felt like it was the right time.
Yeah. Crazy.
My best of the year is John Cena all year. Because he only showed up, 3 times? And he had my favorite line of the year, which was January 1st, actually. "I'm John Cena. You may remember me from such things as being John Cena." And that, to me, was as funny as it gets. There's a nice little Simpsons reference in there, too. So John Cena all year. I also enjoyed the stuff about that he did with the Usos. Unfortunately, it became less funny when I think Jenny went and got another DUI like a week later. But yeah, John Cena this year, and I hope he's doing more next year.
I still quite haven't decided between it's either DX for me or Mayor Kane. So maybe I'll go with a tie on that one. Worst, though, I mean, there's plenty of bad ones in this mix. And I did not dig Brutus the Barber Beefcake at Hall of Fame. That's one of my potential options. That was really kind of just like... But I only had one written down as my actual pick, and I didn't end up replacing it at any point or adding more to it throughout the year. The only note that I had written down was Hornswoggle, Royal Rumble, and then in parentheses, fuck off. I hate when they bring back Hornswoggle.
I don't remember that.
He popped up in the Royal Rumble.
Would he bite people in the ass?
Well, no, he was in the women's rumble, wasn't he? He came out from under the ring.
Yes, he chased somebody around, didn't he?
It was Lena Vega, yeah, because Lena was hiding under the ring. So
That's
he didn't actually. He wasn't actually in either of the rumbles, but he made his presence felt for a little while.
All right, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it is. Anytime that Hornswoggle pops up and does any Hornswoggle shit, it's bad. I have never liked that whole character and gimmick.
In terms of my one, I went for the entirety of Raw Reunion as essentially just a collective of legends doing nothing really that special or meaningful on an entire show. It was just that I think that ranks highly. Maybe it's not the worst Raw of the year, but it's definitely one of the top 3 worst episodes of Raw this year, which is saying a lot. And yeah, I just didn't enjoy any aspect of that, so I would definitely, I'll put that as the worst of the year.
So you're technically giving the award to John Cena, Rikishi, Devon Dudley, Alicia Fox, Caitlyn, Tori Wilson, Santino Morel, The Boogeyman, The Godfather, Pat Patterson, Christian, Lillian Garcia, Eve Torres, Eric Bischoff, Ron Simmons, Jimmy Hart, Gerald Briscoe, Kelly Kelly, Jillian Hall, Kurt Angle, Candice Michelle, Melina, Alundra Blaze, Rob Van Dam, Sergeant Slaughter, The Hurricane, Ted DiBiase, Jerry Lawler, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, X-Pac, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Mark Henry, Mick Foley, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, and Steve Austin.
Everyone except Steve Austin. But yes.
I almost want to say Eric Bischoff as the executive director of SmackDown, but I'll go with Raw Reunion throwing Kurt fucking Angle into a random cameo appearance with the Hurricane, RVD, and Sergeant Slaughter.
What was it, the match that they came out for with that?
Sami Zayn and somebody.
Yeah, I remember that being really bad, but I don't remember the match.
And then he's like, hey guys, when I was GM of Raw, we settled things in the ring. And then I hate everything that they did with Kurt Angle this year.
I partially enjoyed that just because it came up with the memes afterwards of like picture saying, name this group or something like that. Just these 4 just random people just standing next to each other. But yeah, Raw Reunion sucked.
Yeah.
Let's go to the most shocking moment of the year. Now, this is the one that we don't have the best and the worst for, because really, why would you have like the best most shocking moment and the worst most shocking moment or something like that? Again, stop me if this is the thing, but here are some of my honorable mentions. Lashley returning to make out with Lana. Did not see that one coming at all. Cain Velasquez popping up. Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura losing the United States title on back-to-back nights. The Royal Rumble entrance. We had Becky Lynch taking over for Lana. We had Nia Jax entering the men's match. We had Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, Casey Catanzaro, Rhea Ripley, Kairi Sane, Johnny Gargano, Aleister Black, Pete Dunne, Jeff Jarrett. And my runner-up is The Undertaker returns on Raw on June 24th. To help out Roman Reigns, because that was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that pissed me off. I remember I left the room and I came back and all of a sudden Undertaker was back and I missed the whole thing.
But my most shocking moment of the year is that fan that attacked Bret Hart at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think that one almost like has to take the cake in terms of just absolutely baffling how you just don't expect it in that environment. And it probably will I don't know whether it will put them off the idea of doing it in an arena next time. Or at least they'll have to bulk up security a little more. In terms of other ones that I saw, in terms of like most shocking moment, Primo gets suspended for a wellness violation.
Hell yeah.
Like, who saw that coming? Like, really?
Oh yeah, that's a really good one to pick.
Right next to the idea of WWE actually releases people. That was also quite high up on the list of shocking things. Edge spears Elias.
Yes.
Yeah, really good.
That's mine, because I really I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, it's Edge. He'll probably say some corny line, and then that'll be it. And then he doesn't even say anything. He just runs towards him and spears him. And it was just this like moment of, wow, here's this guy who couldn't do anything, and now he's hitting a spear. And today, in fact, on December 19th, there's a lot of rumors that he's definitely doing another match. So very exciting, very shocking too.
As a bit of a lesser one, WWE brings back King of the Ring, just because it just came out of nowhere, really. And I don't know if this one really counts, and it's a bit of a somber one, but Ashley Massaro passes away.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking and unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just like in an era now where we kind of I've gotten past the idea of wrestlers dying young. Just to have one just pop up towards like the middle of the year, just really out of absolutely nowhere, was a bit of a shock to the system, really. But I think it has to go for me to the Bret Hart attack.
If I was going in ring, like I've already said, I would say Edge spearing Elias. Outside the ring, though, it's really a toss-up for me between NXT goes live head-to-head with AEW, or the one I'd probably go with, and that's WWE hires Bischoff and Heyman to run Raw and SmackDown.
Because, that's actually pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere, and it was just like this really cool moment where you're like, wow, ECW and WCW heads are running Raw and SmackDown now. It's pretty cool.
They promptly went, never mind.
No, at least Bischoff.
I wouldn't have gone really with the NXT one, because probably as soon as AEW announced what date they were going to do, I probably could have seen NXT going live like a mile away from that point on. It's like, oh yeah, they're gonna go head to head with them. So like, it's not like I was expecting it to happen, but as soon as it did happen, it was the least surprising thing in the world.
Also, we didn't talk about this. Dean Ambrose leaves. That was pretty shocking.
See, I wasn't as shocked, because I kind of figured that he would leave, and that I was a little bit shocked that he did show up at AEW, because I thought maybe he would take a little bit of time off and not show up right then. But then again, that's like more of a shocking moment for AEW, because it's not WWE.
I was shocked at how they handled it, like that weird letter that was like, we've decided not to move forward with Jonathan Good. We wish him the best in his future endeavors, but he'll still be on Raw for the next 3 months.
That was so stupid. And then the Shield's final chapter, we'll get more into that another point in this. But let's go with the best and the worst Smark Out moments of the year. Now, these are essentially just the best and the worst things of the year. I mean, like the moment that made you cheer the most or happiest as a fan, and the moment that made you want to just, I don't know, bash your head in the wall because you're just like, I goddamn hate this company kind of thing. Let's go with the worst for these. Here are a few of mine.
Settle down, everybody. Long list coming.
Yeah. I don't remember the context of this, but I had it written down as Rowan attacks AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. I don't remember what that was.
Oh, because he was with Daniel Bryan.
Because
that was his re-debut with Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had that down as a worst moment of the year, and
probably because you just don't like Eric Rowan.
Yeah, it's probably just like, yeah, you might have just been at the time just feeling like, they just finished at the end of the end of the WWE Championship match.
Maybe, I don't know, because I mean, I obviously don't hate it enough that I remember it now, so that's kind of strange. But I also have at the Royal Rumble, Nia Jax enters the men's Royal Rumble, because I remember being like, why the fuck is she doing this?
Because she's not like most girls.
Yeah, well, shouldn't
she's
be
like some men
capacity.
as well.
Yeah. I hated that with a passion, and I came very close, I should say, to giving that the worst, because I was just like, there's no point in this. The Women's Royal Rumble is main eventing the Royal Rumble. You've got Becky Lynch going on. We're going to main event WrestleMania. Why is Nia Jax in there? There is no point in it. I also had the Raw after WrestleMania, because I remember being extremely disappointed in the way that they booked that. And I had Undertaker versus Goldberg as an honorable mention too. But I feel almost more pity than like anger about that, Because it's not like they booked it to be like that. It just happened to be that, they're two older guys and they couldn't be able to do anything better than that. So it can't be like, oh, I'm so pissed off about this. It was just like, that sucks, guys. But I will say, though, the Brock Lesnar winning the Money in the Bank and Brock Lesnar beating Kofi Kingston with one move, both of those just hit me right in the gut. And that's my worst thing of the year, is that as much as I keep hating the idea of Brock Lesnar being champion, they just keep going back to it. And I felt like for, I don't know, the 15th time or so at WrestleMania when Seth Rollins won that championship, I was like, okay, finally, they're done with this. And maybe Brock isn't going to be champion for at least a year. And a month later, he wins Money in the Bank, and I was like, just fucking, oh, God. Like, you couldn't go 1 month without me having to write up articles about when is Brock Lesnar winning the championship and all this. I remember being so fucking furious about that. Just being like, all right, we're back to square one again. And then he loses the title. 28 days later, I think, if I remember correctly. And we go through a little bit of a time frame where he's not champion again. And then it's like, I'm still worried that they're going to do this Kofi Kingston thing. And then they announce it. I'm like, it's going to fucking happen. And he's going to lose super fast. Lo and behold, one fucking move. And I'm like, there we go. We're back to square one again. Again, back to square one again. Brock Lesnar is heading into 2020, taking time off and being the head champion of Monday Night Raw. There is nothing different than what happened heading into 2019.
There's many options that I've got on my list for the worst one, unsurprisingly. There's just checking over some of them. It's going to be difficult to end up narrowing down to one. How they first introduced the 24/7 championship, with essentially whoever grabs it out of the ring first gets to win the title. They couldn't even have a battle royal or a match over it. They just, it's the first person to grab the title because this title's just going to be a joke straight from the outset. Luckily, R-Truth and Drake Maverick salvaged it and turned it into something good for a while. Undertaker Goldberg in Saudi Arabia, but I'm sure we'll have plenty more to say about that at certain other points in this awards. And we've already given it worst match, so don't really want to make it hurt too much more. The electric chair.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Like, that was like, what were they thinking with it? It's one of those it's like the segment on Raw that you get every year where it's like the old day or the Alexa Bailey This Is Your Life segment, that sort of thing, where that was kind of it for this year. Bret Hart being attacked because just like makes you wonder what certain fans are thinking. Kofi gets squashed by Brock Lesnar. That was really disappointing. The big dog mascot on a recent episode of SmackDown with Baron Corbin bringing on a guy in a big dog costume because it's just so juvenile, and you could tell that Vince McMahon was probably pissing himself backstage laughing at that while that was going on.
He's a fucking dog.
But the two that one of them, it's probably objectively the worst, but there's one that's hit me more personally, so I'm probably going to go with that one. But the one that's objectively the worst in my mind is the finish of Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt.
Thank you.
Because that is just it's I've been watching wrestling a long time, and I can't recall a worse finish to a pay-per-view main event than that, really.
I can only think of one, and ironically, it had Goldberg in it.
But it's just so terrible how that entire match was structured so badly, and to have a situation where essentially you've got Seth Rollins killing a monster, him getting booed out of the building for it, and then as soon as they've thrown the match out and they've said, oh, it's a no contest or a non-finish or whatever they decide to do, Bray Wyatt just leaps into life and like, okay, your championship opportunity's gone, but you decided to just jump up and attack him anyway. It's like, why didn't you do this 5 minutes ago and you could be Universal Champion right now?
Yep.
So terrible. But the worst for me, at a very personal level, is Kurt Angle loses his retirement match at WrestleMania 35. If you're choosing the awards as your first time you're hearing me talk about this, it's the fact that Kurt Angle is my favorite wrestler of all time. And the whole retirement tour was pretty badly structured overall, but I thought at least give him someone in his final match which is going to give him a good match. And then they gave him Baron Corbin. I thought, okay, well, at least let him win. Like, what is the harm of letting Kurt Angle win his retirement match? And then he just loses in a bad match. And it just sucked. Or I from that point on, I couldn't get back into WrestleMania. It just sucked the entire life out of me for that entire rest of the show. So
Do you buy the idea that Vince would have let him pick whoever he wanted next year?
No, I don't. I don't know about that side of things. Like, realistically, once you know he's retiring, they should have just let him pick his opponent. It's Kurt Angle, for Christ's sake. I mean, why can't he be allowed to choose his final opponent? Just strikes me as so odd. Like, were there so many people like Samoa Joe could have been available to do that? I would have thought Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe for the United States Championship in his final match would have been a great way to send him off. And John Cena didn't do anything on that show either. It's like,
I mean, you wanted Cena.
Yeah, and you had people available. It's just, it was a bad choice and a bad moment for me as like a huge Kurt Angle fan to have his career end that way.
For me, when the end of The Fiend and Seth Rollins at Survivor Series happened, I immediately shouted, "Fuck this company!" Like, it was one of those things that was so bad that they immediately rectified it because they understood that it was bad. There were reports that Vince was laughing at the fan reaction to this. I mean, it just was not good. And it was just the one moment of the year where you have a hard time defending why you put yourself in a position where you have to watch this product.
Well, that was fun. Let's go on to
the best Smark Out moments of the year. Honorable mention for me, DX at the Hall of Fame. That was just pure fun.
Yes.
They're cracking jokes. We've even got Billy Gunn there, who they knew that he was going to be going to AEW, and they're making the jokes about the idea of like, I can't fire me. I don't work for here anymore and all that. They did their little touching tribute enough to China, which there's like some heartfelt moments there too, as well as the jokes. Even with the stupid Super Soakers, it was kind of fun to see them just like goofing around, like typical like dad moment type thing, where they're just sort of like, oh yeah, these water gun things, they actually are kind of fun, and then they go a little overboard with it, and they're like, I found it really funny that Triple H was targeting Baron Corbin out of everybody, just specifically Baron Corbin, just kind of like, hey, fuck you, football Tom. Like, I thought that was great. Becky Lynch wins the Royal Rumble. Becky Lynch wins WrestleMania. That's a great thing like that. Obviously, Kofi Kingston winning at WrestleMania. But I think even more than Kofi and Becky winning at WrestleMania, the best Smark Out moment for me was Roman Reigns announcing that he's in remission.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that even comes close on an emotional level is Kofi winning. But when Roman announced I'm in remission, the place blew, and it was just like this great, genuine moment, which is the exact opposite of what I said about questioning why you watch it. When you see a moment like that, then you're like, oh, I'm so glad that you're involved in this community.
Yeah, that's just like a happy thing. Like, we don't get many happy moments like that, More often than not, when somebody comes out and they have some sort of like serious thing to talk about, it's like, well, I'm injured and I'm not going to be able to wrestle anymore. And every so often we get the whole like, well, I'm pregnant. It's like, congrats, that's going to be hell for a while. And with the Roman Reigns leukemia thing, that was like, that moment was awful because everybody's just like, oh shit, like this dude could die. Not even like the idea of the concept of like, well, he might not wrestle anymore or whatever like that on top of it, but like we could get a report in 2019 that he is in horrible shape and that he passes away. And for him to come out in, was it February, I think?
Yep.
And be like, hey, like, I'm coming back because I'm actually in remission. That was just like, fuck yeah. Like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a great moment for him and the entire company. So I probably would agree that is the best moment of the year from just a not just like the wrestling perspective, but just as a general human emotion type perspective of like just it's a guy who, by all reports, is just a really nice, genuine guy, really popular behind the scenes, and yeah, the fact that he had so much taken away from him and had so much at stake and managed to come back, and even though his run back hasn't been as strong as maybe a lot of people would hope it had been, it's still better than him not being around at all. So yeah, Roman Reigns returning would probably be best for me, but a few honorable mentions. I'd throw in obviously Kofi winning the WWE Championship is probably just from a pure wrestling side of things the best one, just because it just 11 years in the making. It was such a touching moment where they brought back the old WWE Championship to award him, and he was with his kids in the ring. That was it felt a real genuine moment as well. Batista returning and attacking Ric Flair, because it was just like pretty shocking out of nowhere stuff. But you knew kind of Batista was probably going to come back and feud with Triple H eventually, but the way they did it was really well shot. The Fiend's debut, because it started off really well at the very least. And one that probably we couldn't talk about. We couldn't talk about if we would have recorded this yesterday, but Rhea Ripley wins the NXT Championship.
Yeah, that was awesome.
NXT Women's Championship, should I say? But that was like the crowd were just so into that moment, and almost like as a smaller one on NXT recently, Angel Garza proposes to his girlfriend, because that was just a nice little touching moment as well. Just, I know he's supposed to be a heel and this like ladies' man character, but like just for a little thing, that was just a nice little thing they threw in at the end of that episode. But I will agree that it should be Roman Reigns returns from leukemia.
Yeah, awesome moment. I'm 3 for 3. Roman Reigns returns and announces he's in remission.
Oh, we got a couple things that we're agreeing with on these awards. Very interesting. So the final one for the writing awards is going to be the best and the worst storyline of the year. Let's go with best. Why not? We're on a high right now talking about happy things. Let's keep that going. I'm going to echo what I had said before for the title reigns, essentially, because one of my favorite ones was Drake Maverick and R-Truth with the 24/7 championship. I was a big fan of them playing around with that as much as they could. And that's more than likely my runner-up, because I find it hard to vote against Kofi Mania.
Yeah, I mean, great storyline, really emotional, really genuine, and it's definitely a runner-up for me. I don't know if I've decided that that's the best storyline of the year, but very good.
Yeah, I think the best thing about that is that how organic it is, because it comes out of like just nothing, because Kofi wasn't even meant to be in that match. Gets thrown into a gauntlet match that they, for some reason, like so many things just had to go in his favor. Like he had to be the one that's chosen to go into that match when Mustafa Ali gets injured. They have to do that gauntlet match. He has to be the one they decide that, okay, we're going to let him like run through a few people before he gets eliminated. The crowd has to react to him going through these people and winning these matches.
Styles was a good part of that.
Yeah.
I really liked how he was just like, dude, come on, like, you've done a great thing. Everybody's really happy about it, but, you know, I'm going to beat you. So just, you know, take the lose and kind of walk off. And then Kofi just being like, nah, man, I can do this all day, pulling a Captain America type thing.
Yeah, so that was, and just a whole build up towards WrestleMania with him just being taken out in every hurdle and managing to finally get the match in the moment with just, yeah, Kofi Mania is way, way up there. There's a few other ones like the Ronda Rousey Becky Lynch stuff is great, and if it had just been a singles match, then maybe I probably would put it a lot higher up. The fact that they did decide to shoehorned Charlotte Flair into the match probably tarnishes it a little bit. Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar feud was like really probably the best thing in the last few months of the year for me. In terms of just felt like it was a very simple, basic storyline of a father trying to avenge from the guy that attacked his son. And yeah, that was just really well told. The Undisputed Era's quest for gold as well. Like the prophecy being fulfilled. But yeah, I think it has to be Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston or just Kofi Mania in general.
As I'm trying to think of other ones that may match Kofi Mania, nothing really strikes to mind. I'll say honorable mention, Undisputed Era, their quest for gold, and mostly the Johnny Gargano stuff that came out of that. But really, nothing this year hit home like Kofi Kingston winning the WWE title. So that is easily my best storyline of the year.
One of those things out of that whole Adam Cole Gargano thing that I liked quite a bit, and one of my favorite little moments of the year was when they showed him, Cole, meaning, going to like Gargano's pizza restaurant, and then they showed him going to that training facility and, you know, upsetting the kids that were there and doing that kind of thing. Like, that was some nice touch on that feud. I like that quite a bit. But there were lots of bad storylines this year. So that's where we're going to turn things around here.
This one's real easy for me. I don't know if I should go first, but this...
Go ahead, yeah, if you got a really
Roman
easy
Reigns' murder mystery is the worst thing I've seen all year. Easily. This weird thing where he's clearly feuding with Joe. Suddenly, somebody tries to knock over backstage equipment onto him, and it becomes this like whodunit. Somebody tries to hit him with a car, and then it becomes, well, the rumors say it's Brian, so maybe just to swerve the dirt sheets, they go with, no, it's Rowan, and suddenly we have Rowan beating Roman Reigns on pay-per-view, and the end story to all of that is Brian's babyface, Roman is always going to be the big dog, and nobody cares about Rowan again. And Harper, who came back briefly, is now released from the company. This was so bad.
I didn't even have that down on my list.
It is a bad one. I think the most egregious thing about it is that it made no sense throughout the entire way through. But the even worse thing about that is that it was a bad storyline and a bad angle, and it at least briefly got two people over that weren't as over before the start of it, which was Buddy Murphy and Eric Rowan. But then again, they didn't manage to sustain that. But I wouldn't put it as the worst.
So here are some that maybe they might be on your list, Callum.
Oh, most of them. Oh, I've pretty much got basically everything outside of the ones that we've mentioned before.
Lacey Evans walking down the ramp.
Is that really a storyline?
I guess you could call it that. I don't know. Dana Brooke and Natalya trying to be tag team champions and then feuding over the whole "you didn't hear me with the earbuds on" type thing, and then them dropping the feud entirely because they were like, well, we don't care about this. And,
we've got to mention Dana Brooke versus Sarah Logan, the greatest main event feud of all time for the best one.
Well, I mean, that's like one of the longest reigning feuds.
Yeah.
So at least give him credit for that. Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor for WrestleMania. Horrible storyline. Let's see what else I have here. This one is probably the one that I would give the award to. Although I have two that I'm kind of back and forth about. Shane McMahon is the best in the world. Because this incorporated going back all the way to, technically speaking, Survivor Series 2018.
It's before that, isn't it? It's a Crown Jewel, isn't it?
Yeah, the Crown Jewel happened before that. I forgot about that. So Crown Jewel, they have this whole thing with the World Cup and the Shane McMahon thing. It's going to go somewhere, guys. We have a plan for this. Okay, I don't think you do, but let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you do. They follow it up with the Survivor Series thing where SmackDown gets completely decimated And that's a big, giant botch. And that's one of the things that's like one of the worst things of the year for 2018. But they're still saying, we got a plan for this, guys. It's really going somewhere. We really know what we're doing, and we're really happy about this. We know where we're going. It'll land, and you'll fucking like it. Okay. Then we get The Miz and the Tag Team Championship and all that stuff. This is going somewhere, guys. We know where it's going. And we're all going, yeah, it's going with the fucking Miz versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. We knew that with the Crown Jewel thing. Can you just go ahead and do it? Aha, we got you guys. It's Shane McMahon that turns heel, and they lose the tag team titles. All right, well, why did they win the tag team titles to begin with if they lost it on their first fucking thing? And then he wins at WrestleMania. And then they follow it up with another match at Money in the Bank. And Shane McMahon just wins again. And Shane starts tagging up with The Revival and Drew McIntyre and the B Team and whoever they could do with all that other kind of stuff. And then where do they go? I don't know. He's feuding with Roman Reigns now. Why? And then they do the Roman Reigns things for a couple months or whatever. And then they go, we don't know really what to do with this one, so I don't know, Kevin Owens now. And then we're like, well, we just saw this Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon feud not that long ago. And they're going to wrestle in Hell in a Cell and do all the same kind of shit that they were doing before. Why are they still doing all the same kind of crap? And then how does the whole thing end? It's basically an entire year to get to the point, because it was October 2018, all the way until the SmackDown debut on Fox. Took them an entire year to just have Kevin Owens beat Shane McMahon in a ladder match. And as soon as it's over, they go, we're running out of time. All right, let's move to the next segment. Fucking awful. It took the longest amount of time to get absolutely nowhere. But then again, as bad as that is, something happened after that that is almost as bad, if not potentially worse, which is the Rusev and Lana and Bobby Lashley story. I hate this so much. I think I have to give it to the Shane McMahon thing because of how long it went. But if this is still going with the Rusev thing in 2020, I might end up having to give it the worst thing next year, just to be like, carry over from last year.
I would definitely put like the Shane McMahon stuff high up there, but the saving grace for me, at least for me personally, with the Shane McMahon stuff, is that I did enjoy the Shane Miz feud up until WrestleMania. And if it had stopped at WrestleMania and the Miz had just beaten him, then I would have been fine with it. But the fact that it did continue obviously soured it, but it at least had some good points at the beginning of it. Mike Kanellis is a cuck. That whole angle, just eating away time on TV of just something which was nobody could have found interesting at all, and was ruined even more by the fact that Maria Kanellis was actually pregnant, and so the storyline would just have to be abruptly ended without any real conclusion at all. And the weird thing about that one as well is that concurrently he was feuding with Drake Maverick on 205 Live when Drake Maverick was a babyface but also a heel on Raw, so it was kind of just all over the place. Seth Rollins versus The Fiend was it's kind of the feud where the aura from The Fiend was just kind of rubbed away quite quickly. But in terms of my worst one of the year, I'm going with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch feuding with Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans at the same time. Because I think that Rollins was on a high coming out of WrestleMania. The fact that he defeated Brock Lesnar, the Universal Champion, was huge deal, hugely popular at that point. He has that has the match with AJ Styles and Money in the Bank, and obviously there's not much to it, but it's a very good match, and so the wheels are still turning with Seth Rollins. And then he's putting a feud with Baron Corbin, and I don't think it's any coincidence that from the start of that feud to the end of that feud, how much the crowd turned on Seth Rollins in that time. Like how much Seth Rollins went from being like a really top star and a darling in most people's eyes to someone who was just completely rejected, someone who people were looking forward to Brock Lesnar beating and taking the title off of, someone who they just were desperate to stay away from the Universal title picture going forward. But and it hurt Becky Lynch as well, because even though they wanted to do something with their relationship, they had absolutely no on-screen chemistry with each other, which made it really awkward. And Corbin and Lacey Evans were both just not adding anything in perspective to these feuds. So yeah, I think for the overarching negative effect it had on arguably one of the most over guys in the entire company at the start of the year, to what he's now in the position at the end of the year where he's had to turn heel because of how much the crowd has turned against him. I think this feud is was the cause of that entire thing.
I would also go as far as to say Rollins said he would take it back. He wouldn't even do it. That it kind of hurt the relationship even to have people call out their chemistry like that. So not good all around.
And what was your pick, Rob?
It was the Roman Reigns murder mystery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who killed Roman Reigns?
Was it the Denver Broncos? So that is wrapping up the writing awards, and we've still got many, many different awards left to go. The next part is going to be the programming awards. We're going to follow that up with the on-air personality awards, then the wrestler awards, and then we're going to switch things over to the best and worst of Smark Out Moment for the year. So again, if you are listening to this on the iTunes or Stitcher or any of those kinds of Spotify feeds, the audio only ones, then we'll just be back in a moment. But if you are on the YouTube side of things, then please click on part 3 for the programming awards, and we will see you there. But for now, we're being counted out.